So, in this example, what we see is a recent attack where the threat actor is impersonating a law firm, in this case, Baker and McKenzie. Michael is our threat actor here, and Michael works in the debt recovery and resolution department at Baker and McKenzie. So this email is talking about an outstanding invoice that was due to be paid last year, but apparently after multiple attempts, they haven't seen a response yet. Now, the threat actor has been fairly clever here and not gone in directly with a lookalike domain or sending from a domain that looks like Baker and McKenzie. They've actually used the reply to address. And what you'll notice on the left actually is in Outlook, it doesn't even show that reply to address. So it's very difficult for the recipient here to pick that up. As soon as they hit the reply, obviously, they're going to be sending back to Michael at Baker McKenzie's Law. So that's Baker McKenzie with an S and then law on the end. That's not the real Baker McKenzie domain. In fact, that domain was registered just 2 days before the attack. So clearly the threat actor wants to make use of the money they've just spent on that domain. And I assume Baker McKenzie's with an S.com was probably already taken. It's probably already been burnt in a previous campaign. So they've gone with Baker McKenzie's Law here. So the initial recipient here is on the hook. They believe this is real. They're applying, asking for a copy of the invoice. We now see an email again from the threat actor to a David. And the David that the threat actor has chosen to use in this email is actually an employee at the same company, as where the attack is headed. The threat actor has most likely found David's name on LinkedIn as a senior person in finance. But this email states that there's been a phone conversation. The attached email is still outstanding. Prevent further escalation. Please arrange for its prompt settlement. Then we see this response from the David that has just been targeted here back to Michael saying the invoice has been approved for payment. Please forward a copy to our finance department. So the email then goes to Dennis. Michael is now targeting Dennis. Appreciate your prompt response in accordance with David's instructions below. I'm forwarding the invoice. Now, this is the full email, and actually this whole conversation here on the left appears as a thread underneath. So there's this back and forth that Dennis sees. Dennis appears to see that there's been a conversation, that there's been an approval by David, someone fairly senior in the organization. So Dennis here forwards the email straight to accounts payable, which is effectively endorsing this email as ready to be paid, or the invoice ready to be paid. But in actual fact, the middle part of this conversation never happened. There was never a phone call with David, and David never actually approved this email. The threat actor has simply built all of that into the thread. And if that's all you're looking at, you assume that the approval has already been sent through. So looking at the invoice itself, it's pretty good. I mean, I must say I did a double take when I first saw it and thinking, is this actually real? It wasn't until I actually looked at the author of the invoice, and it was Canva. So Canva's a great Aussie success story, great for creating posters and birthday invites, and apparently invoices. Now, looking at that original email that started the whole thing off, there are multiple behavioral signals available to determine that this is malicious. Firstly, using a large language model, we can see the language is around some kind of invoice or payment fraud. The email was also sent from Italy. That's clearly not normal for albertinc.com to ever send an email from Italy, and also the recipient doesn't normally receive an email from Italy. Also, the sender's unusual. So that Mike at albertinc.com, that original address the threat actor used, is not normal. It's not seen by the organization before, or there's been no outbound email to it either. There's a financial request. There's so many things wrong with this email that a behavioral AI solution such as Abnormal Security is easily able to detect and use those signals to simply remove this email.